Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. So time for Case's movie reviews. In case you're new to the show, Case here has not seen many good movies, but now he has. Now, I shouldn't say good movies. He hasn't seen any movies before we started.
He doesn't see them.
Well, I got tired of years of making movie references and him not knowing what I was talking about.
He walked past theaters and goes, I wonder what happens in there.
Yeah. I see people coming out with popcorn. Maybe I should go in there.
Is it food? Are they serving dinner?
I'm not a big popcorn guy, though.
So now, after 6 months of this journey, he's seen things like that you've seen. Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, Braveheart, The Mummy, Varsity Blues.
Fight Club,
which, by the way, before we started today, I want to give a little update on Fight Club, or a funny fact on Fight Club.
You have an update on Fight Club?
What?
Not an update.
Breaking news.
Well, I found this fact that came across my timeline probably because we talked about Fight Club. Do you know that when Fight Club premiered in 1999, that's why you did it, because it was 25 years ago, at the Venice Film Festival, which is the anniversary of when you did your review last week, it got booed hard by the audience. And Ed Norton said...
The whole movie?
No, when it started off and the movie was getting booed.
Wow.
And Ed Norton was sitting next to Brad Pitt, 2 stars of the movie, and while it was happening, Brad Pitt turned to him and said, "That's the best movie I'm ever going to be in."
Wow.
That's what Brad Pitt said after...
Even while it was getting booed.
While it was getting booed.
You know who should have had that confidence?
Who's that?
Vinny Chase, when everyone was mad about Medellin at his film festival.
Yeah,
He should have been like, this is the best movie I'm ever going to be in.
But Medellin didn't go on to be successful.
No, it did not. But he didn't know that at the time.
It was no Aquaman, let's be
He
honest.
should have been like, listen, the same thing happened to Fight Club.
Not to get off on an entourage art.
But while we're here...
They should have made Aquaman with him, the real actor, Adrian Grenier. They should have made it with him.
The problem is that outside of Entourage, I'm going to reference a movie that I've seen that was not for this show. He's in The Devil Wears Prada.
Love it.
Great movie.
He's the real devil.
He is a devil, and he's also a terrible actor in that movie. He's only good at being Vinny Chase.
You know, when I was with my mom's last Christmas, he's in a Hallmark Christmas movie.
That makes sense.
Adrian Grenier.
Yeah.
And I thought, he's made a lot of money from Entourage. This probably doesn't have to work, I imagine. But I was
well, sometimes when you're in such a big role, though, it can screw you because everyone's like, it's Vinny. Yeah. Like, you can't be in other things.
But he should have been like in the next John Wick movie. And I don't know why his agent said do a Hallmark movie.
Hey, Brian, I'm sure if he could have been in John Wick, he would have wanted to be.
Yeah, I think you're misunderstanding.
No. I'm saying that he could have went an action movie route instead of getting in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, he could have. I don't know if he was allowed to.
There's got to be.
He was in a movie that didn't do well. Want to know what its name is, ironically?
What?
Trash Fire.
That's a movie that came out?
Yeah, in 2016.
Huh.
He's been in a lot of stuff that didn't do well.
Yeah.
The problem is
Unfortunately.
you look at Entourage as a prestige drama. A lot of people look at it as like, that was a fun show that was on Sunday nights. You're like, this is the greatest show of all time.
If he did that, he doesn't have to do anything the rest of his life. He's fine.
Entourage was a long time ago.
It sounds like he's not, so nailed
But
it.
I'm sure his net worth is somewhere between like 20 and 40 million from doing that.
Also, being in The Devil Wears Prada, that has a cult following. So he's been in 2 really, really, really big things.
If you can do one big thing people remember you for the rest of your life, you're good.
And he did 2.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let's get to The Shining, where Jack Nicholson certainly was an actor before The Shining and afterward, but this movie was pinnacle in his career. So Case, the producer, his first horror movie.
OMG, I am so excited. I'm so excited.
Let's start how we always do with the trailer from, I'm guessing, is it 1980? 1980. The trailer for the horror movie, The Shining.
I don't suppose they told you anything in Denver about the tragedy we had up here during the winter of 1970? I heard a man named Charles Grady is the winter caretaker. From what I've been told, he seemed like a completely normal individual. But at some point during the winter, he must have suffered some kind of a complete mental breakdown. He ran amok and killed his family.
Oh, God.
Well, you can rest assured, Mr. Ullman, that's not going to happen with me.
That's right.
Oh, not a comedy.
But you did. I killed you and Danny.
You did this to him. Didn't you?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains. Here's Johnny.
Good music.
That trailer stands. It's a good trailer.
Can I tell you, when I saw this movie as a little kid, I used to go with a buddy in the neighborhood. I used to go, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in.
That's what you used to say to your girlfriend.
No, it was a guy. It was a kid.
Okay.
What am I?
Was that your yearbook quote?
No. I was have a good time all the time.
Naturally.
Okay, so The Shining, which is a movie I did see as a little kid, unfortunately. I shouldn't have, because I had nightmares for a month after that movie. Case seeing it as a grown-ass man, go ahead with your review.
You are our grown-ass man on site, Case. You've been just reporting live as a grown-ass man.
25 years old is a grown-ass man.
Well, I didn't sleep last night either, and it wasn't because of the Offspring show that we went to. This is the most unpleasurable viewing experience I have ever had.
Wow.
And I went into it, because I know Kenzie will accuse me of this, I went into it with an open mind. I've never seen horror movies before. I don't like haunted houses. I'm anti-Halloween. I hate fall. Awful time of the year.
Oh, boy.
With that being said, I was like, all right. I wanted to like Braveheart. I hated Braveheart. Let me try to like The Shining, and we'll see where I am in 2.5 hours. And that is the real horror of this movie, is the runtime of The Shining. This movie wouldn't end. Oh, my God, was it long. It's just one confusing scene after another. It reminded me of, like, when Radiohead stopped trying to be good, like, after they wrote High and Dry.
Wow, what a reference.
And they were like, what if we just jam a keyboard into a stereo? That'll be our next album. This is what it was like. I hate abstract nonsense. Give me the story. You know what I like about The Offspring? All their songs are understandable. They're staring at the sun. They're pretty fly for a white guy. Why don't you get a job? It's all linear. It all makes sense. This is just one of those movies. I couldn't follow a thing that happened. I don't know what the story of this movie was, other than a guy had writer's block, which, by the way, I empathize with, and he decided to kill his family because he had writer's block. Look, I've had to write some articles in my life because I have a writing job on the side. I've been stuck before, never to the point of murder, though.
But you know what's going to happen next time you try to write something? All work and no play makes Case a dull boy. All work and no play makes Case a dull boy.
Here's the thing. I don't believe that you went into this with an open mind, because when we told you had to watch it, you said no.
Well, I did. It is the anniversary of Goodfellas this week. I was hoping we were going to choose that because I do like mafia movies.
We're going spooky because you can watch Goodfellas any time of year and it makes sense. And honestly, you have to go into this season. You have 5 more weeks of horror. And then you're going to enter one of the happiest times of year. So we're going to fix it because you're going to have some holiday movies upon us.
Okay.
So
you're going to do Hallmark movies the rest of December.
I love Chad Michael Murray. That's fine with me.
And I would like to defend the length of this movie. First off, it's coming off of a novel. So you're already have to include a lot of details because people want you to live up to a novel, in fairness.
And Stephen King novel.
So phenomenal. Okay, also.
By the way, real quick, I learned last week after the review that Fight Club was a book. Didn't know that.
Me either. I learned that during the review. A lot of people were texting.
I think most movies, to be fair, were some kind of book at first.
Maybe that's the problem with movies now, because no one writes books anymore, because why would you read when you have a phone?
Okay.
This is just food for thought.
Facts.
Not true. Okay. I don't even want to dig into that. That's a you thing. I don't want to dive in. But the length of this movie, it's very important because you have to understand they're isolated and he starts going crazy. You can't, if this movie's an hour and a half and 20 minutes in he loses his mind, that just seems like an instant, you have to watch like a decline. Everything has to be okay. They have to get there. It has to be okay. The winter has to feel long. Like, you have to experience it.
No, it did. It did. I also felt isolated and like I was going insane as I was watching the movie yesterday.
And you almost killed Mackenzie.
I mean, took my girlfriend
that's
out.
a good point. What if he all of a sudden did that right away on the typewriter stuff 10 minutes in, and you're like happy because it's going to be over in like 90 minutes?
I would have been thrilled.
But it also isn't realistic. You see him as a nice guy. I just love it here.
I don't know if he's a nice guy. He comes across creepy from the jump.
He's creepy.
He is creepy from the jump.
But
honestly, the whole family is creepy from the jump.
Yeah, rest in peace, Shelley Duvall, who died just a month ago.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, can I tell you something about Shelley Duvall? Because she's a little, like, awkward in an awesome way.
She's kind of cute.
Yes,
I'll say
but,
it.
like, she's like, it's like this awkwardness, right? I don't know if you know this, because it's the most perfect role she could ever be in. She plays Olive Oil in Popeye.
I haven't seen Popeye.
But, like, You know who Olive Oil is. I'm sure you've seen the cartoon.
Not really.
Oh, boy. Don't go on this arc. Robin Williams
She
is...
literally, if you draw a picture of Olive Oil and then it turned into a person, it would be her. And the irony is just unbelievable. She couldn't have been more perfectly casted. So I thought you'd enjoy that, but good Lord, you haven't even seen cartoons.
Getting back to The Shining, they pretty much tortured her in real life. Stanley Kubrick, the director in that movie, they didn't tell her what was coming in a lot of the scenes.
Yeah, and there's so many scenes, too. It'd be torturous to be on set that long. She's going, oh, my God, this movie's still going on?
I'm in this movie and it's too long. No, the point is that they scared her. Those were natural reactions because she didn't know what was going to happen a lot. And she had psychosis from this movie making it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, I made the Radiohead comp earlier, but Brian, you were saying when Lollapalooza happened this year, you're like, you know, we all love the Deftones. We're stoked they're coming back to the UC next spring. But there is something almost nauseating about the Deftones when you see them live because they're so loud and it's so abrasive. And the sounds in this movie, not even the soundtrack, just the ambient noise.
Yes.
I started feeling sick like an hour in. It was just so much.
That's the joy of it.
I would like to know if any parts of it actually scared you because you sound annoyed. You sound like you didn't like it. You sound like you were bored because it was long.
Yeah.
Did anything scare you about this movie?
Yeah,
Did you find it scary?
You know what was wrong with this movie? I couldn't even enjoy the naked woman because all of a sudden there's a naked woman in the bathtub, and I'm like, I like where this is going. This is a good movie all of a sudden. And then she turned her back turns into mold. And then she attacks the guy. Yeah, he's like, no kidding. I'm trying to get my rocks off here.
Was it so uncomfortable to put your lotion away after that? How weird. Because you're like, well, now people are going to think I'm into this.
God, when that woman's walking on, ha, ha, ha. What about the twin girls?
Okay.
Did that scare you?
I don't understand.
Okay.
Who are they?
Me, Brian.
Good Lord.
Me,
Go
me.
ahead, Kenzie.
Me. Those are the daughters that were killed. So the bartender that he's talking to.
Okay.
When he was
Which, by the way, those bar scenes, boy, did they drag. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, kind of important because maybe you would understand who the daughters were. You know how the bartender is like, I had to correct them. You know how he's doing that? He killed his family.
He was actually the bathroom attendant guy. The bathroom attendant.
These are the children that died. We talk about correcting them.
Uh-huh.
Do you understand?
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, right? We live in a world, and I think we can all agree with this, that we rely too much on the pharmaceutical industry. We overly medicate our children. It could lead to long-term problems.
I don't know what this is leading to.
I'm really wondering where this is going.
The child in the movie that was seeing visions, that was seeing visions of horror, that was seeing these two girls, maybe get him a prescription or something. This kid needed some help. And I feel like they hung it out to dry.
You're part of the problem. You don't believe him.
I did not believe him.
I'm not sure, and I'm not a doctor. Like Kenzie, I'm not a doctor.
They just play one on the radio.
I'm not sure ADH medicine can correct possession by the devil. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Didn't you see the scene where they were bloody because they'd been killed by an axe when it's flashing? Because they do the come play with us.
Yeah.
But then one time when he sees them, they're murdered by an axe.
Yeah. No, I caught it.
How did you not connect who they were?
By that point, my eyes had glazed over. I was so confused.
I do love the very ending. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen The Shining, I don't want to hear about it. Feel free to stop and plug your ears for a second. I love the ending where they zoom in on the old photo.
Yes.
And Jack Nicholson is in it.
He's in it.
So twisted.
By the way, Barbara and Piatone checked in and said, I knew I was going to hate this review. Thank you, Barbara. And apologies to you and all the people of Piatone for listening to this review of The Shining.
I have one more question before I give my review. It's something I've always wondered about this movie because the only thing I knew about it going in was the line, "Here's Johnny."
Yeah.
Did Johnny Carson take that from him, or did he take that from Johnny Carson?
We may have to Google that because I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, because I'm never sure if that's a reference to Ed McMahon.
I'm pretty sure Johnny Carson did it first because that's why it was funny in the horrific scene of the movie.
I couldn't tell if that's what it was or if it was funny that Carson.
He copied it from Johnny Carson.
Okay, all right. I've wondered that for years.
That was like the punchline.
That would have been amazing if Ed McMahon stole that from The Shining and used that in the show.
It would be interesting to watch that scene and go, that's how I should come out.
Yeah. Here's Johnny.
I'm loving this for my show.
Before you give your review, there was one more thing you were going to do. I know we're a little late here, but you were going to say what kind of bands each member of the movie and their characters would have liked.
Okay, so Jack Nicholson would have been really into Motorhead because as I was watching the axe murder scene, I kept on thinking, man, Ace of Spades should be the soundtrack to this song. That little bass line coming in and then it kicks in. I was like, Ace of Spades could have been in this movie.
Sure.
Shelley Duvall has a haircut that implies that she loves the band Cannons, and we all do.
Vibes,
but
I
could see her being really into Cannons.
Trying to drown out him by going to her bedroom and listening to Cannons, like nice soothing music.
I was on fire. Yeah, it's basically Shelley Duvall.
That'll get a murderer out of your mind, your husband.
Absolutely. And then the kid, I think, would just listen to like TV static. I don't think he would actually be into bands. I think he would just listen to White Noise.
Huh. White Noise kind of sounds like a band name, though.
I'm sure it is.
They're playing Riot Fest at 3:30 today. White Noises. All right, do you want to give your review now?
Yeah. No, this is a pretty easy review. This was not a movie for me. I did not enjoy it.
Are you rating it by axes?
I am rating it by axes. That's funny. I was going to.
Good.
I thought some of the cinematography was incredible. I can see objectively that Jack Nicholson was great in this movie, but I did not find myself really enjoying any part of it. This is about as low as I've gone on a movie. I think I enjoyed Braveheart more than this one. I have no desire to rewatch this, no desire to revisit it. I would go 2 axes out of 10.
Oof. 2 axes out of 10 for The Shining, one of the greatest horror movies of all time that has 83% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Didn't grab me.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q 101.